It's the RIOT Podcast. This is the Monday, May 8th edition of the show.
Hopefully everybody had a great weekend.
Yeah. I was just thinking the 6th because Friday was the 5th.
Sure.
And the weekend doesn't count as days.
Well, not with work
in my
days.
calendar.
So.
Yeah.
Well, again, hopefully everybody had an enjoyable weekend. I know we cover a lot from what we did.
Yeah. Everybody sounded like they had a busy weekend, all three of us. Isaiah was so busy, he couldn't watch anything.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even turn on his TV. Nikki, you were garage sailing.
I did a garage sale, and
you got your hair did.
I did. Well, I did that on Friday.
That's the weekend?
Yeah, that counts.
Uh-huh. I was camping and I went out, so I did two things.
You camped out? Like, did you camp in your yard, or did you go to a place?
Yeah, I did camp in the yard.
Well, that's baby steps, all right.
Yeah, well, you got to air out the tent, test it out, make sure it's all good for when we actually go camping.
How romantic of you.
You're like, where did he take you on your date? To the backyard.
Yeah.
We went camping under the moonlight.
Actually, it's miserable. I've done that once. Eric did that once. He's like, here, try camping.
Yeah,
and you're like, but
you got to test it. Then you can actually use a real bathroom.
But I think it's harder if you camp in your backyard because you're just like, well, I could just go right there. My bed is right there.
I could just walk inside.
So it's hard. You almost need to go somewhere and camp so you could just try it and not
stuck
have
there.
the conflict. Yeah, exactly. You're stuck.
You're committed.
You know the other difficulty about not even camping, but if you go to a bonfire, because obviously camping had a fire. It was more about the fire, and then camping was secondary. But had the fire. This was Saturday night, and I have showered multiple times since then.
Oh, yeah.
I've washed all the clothes. I'm not wearing any of the same clothes except for the hat, which I washed in the washing machine, and I can still smell the bonfire smoke.
It sticks with you. I think I have to sneeze. Oh, now that I've said it, it's not going to sneeze. I've had to sneeze all morning. No, it's right there. Well, I mean, it's a nice smell, though.
That's
it could
true.
Be worse.
I definitely could smell like worse things.
I think BO works the same way.
Yeah.
So at least you're only smelling like a bonfire.
That's right.
Today on the show.
What
Lots
did we
of
cover?
goodness. We talked about a woman kicked off of a Frontier flight, and not just kicked off by the captain or the workers, but kicked off by the other passengers.
Did you watch the video for it?
I saw the video for it over the weekend.
I like the guy. He's like, raise your hand.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm being dead serious. If anybody can hear me,
Raise your hand.
You raise your hand.
And then he's like, look, everybody.
Look at everybody. Everybody agrees.
It makes you
Get her
wonder
off.
what other things you could get the pilot and the crew to do if everybody just raised their hands and started
In
making
agreement.
a ruckus.
Well, it's almost like a mob mentality.
Right.
It
which
is.
You're not supposed to, but it is true. If you do not feel comfortable on a flight and something has gone on, you should be able to speak up.
Nikki, I never feel comfortable on a flight.
I know. But along these lines, just don't fly. Don't bother.
We also talked about the best and worst night of sleep that you've ever had.
Camping comes back in on this.
It does.
Yeah. Did I ever say my worst night of sleep?
Was camping, didn't you say?
Did I?
I can't remember.
I don't think I did.
What'd you say?
Well, do you want to do it now?
Yeah, I'll do
Just
it
say
now.
it.
This is well, it's not a spoiler because I didn't get to talk about my worst night of sleep. There's two. One is this first radio station I worked for. I actually just told the story recently. I would get off of work at 10 o'clock. It was a 3-hour drive home. And then I'd work the next morning at 6 a.m. So the whole idea was I stay the night at the station.
Yeah.
And every night at that station sucked. Every time I stayed the night because so often, this is crazy. It's not even that long ago. It's just that this station was out of date. They couldn't do anything remotely or whatever. So if there was something that needed to be done at the station, somebody would come in and do it.
While you were sleeping?
While I was sleeping. It wasn't even something I was capable of doing. You might think, even though that would also be crazy for me to work overnight.
Yeah.
And it was just uncomfortable. So that was bad. And then secondly was I did a Civil War kind of, recreation camp. This is a homeschool thing. And so the mattress was like made out of straw or whatever.
You did?
Yeah.
So like I mentioned, when you go like 6th grade, you get your weekend trip that you get to go to the local camp. So did you do that, or was your camping thing the reenactment?
It was no, I had different stuff where I did what you're mentioning, but I also did, this was one time my parents were with me because it was like a whole, it was just a family thing where you paid and you went to St. Mary's City in southern Maryland, and you would, it's like you lived like the settlers did.
How'd you do?
I shot a musket.
Attaboy.
Threw a tomahawk. I was the only one in our group that actually nailed the tomahawk throw.
Yeah.
And
you probably felt awesome after that.
I did.
That
was
sounds
real
fun.
good.
I bet you
one of the
did.
best moments. We also had to do, and it was woman's work back in the day, but we had to do it. What? You had to go out and look for kindling for the fire.
Did you pick berries too?
And in that time, it was woman's work, and so I was very offended that I had to do it. I was like, wow, women really did have it tough back in these days.
So I'm sorry, did that count as a family vacation, or was that for school?
It was on the weekend.
Educational or what?
It wasn't even a vacation. It was educational. I learned about women's work and sleeping on straw.
You pick berries and sticks.
Can you add to the list? I don't like you saying women's work.
The worst part, I think the worst part was you had to drink out of these metal cups.
Yeah.
And everybody hated that.
Why?
That was
Those were
worse than the straw.
great.
No, because they made it taste like metal.
No, that was like when you would go to medieval times and you would drink and eat out of all the metal stuff.
That
was
different because that
great.
must have been like treated so that it didn't make a metal taste in your water.
Well, you could have just washed it out, which also would have been women's work at that time.
Yeah, right.
I so would have died back then.
I'd rather die than look for kindling.
I think I would have died or they would have killed me because I refused to work the kindling. So I don't know if that would have worked. Well, enjoy the podcast today. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. 877-2-RADIO-U. You are welcome to text anytime and just put that you're a podcast listener if there's a story that you want us to throw in possibly tomorrow's podcast.
I think this podcast now counts as educational.
It does. It was practically your
homeschool
experience that you get a grade for it.
It's the riot.
Your For You page would be a lot more fun if it had Hudson, Nikki, and Isaiah. Follow at RadioU Official on TikTok. The Riot. RadioU.
If you've been waiting for Stranger Things Season 5, as I believe we all have been, you're going to have to wait a little longer. You may know that the Writers Guild of America is currently on strike.
Yeah.
And in solidarity, the Duffer Brothers, who are in charge of all things Stranger Things, have decided to halt production of Season 5 until the writer's strike comes to a close, until a deal is reached.
I guess I thought the final season stuff of Stranger Things was filmed already, but I guess we're wrong.
Oh, yeah.
They made a really good point. They said writing does not stop when filming begins.
That is true.
So they wanted to start production, but they say it's not possible during this time.
So not only is it they weren't partway through filming.
I don't even think they
haven't gotten started, which is crazy. That this is like the biggest show for Netflix, and they still have not even gotten started on it. What, did they not know they were making a Season 5?
I don't know. I think they are familiar with how to handle delays, though, because they were delayed frequently during COVID. So at least they know what to do, and I guess maybe they can work faster when the delay's over.
Hopefully, but I'm not familiar with handling delays, so this is really bothering me personally.
It's bugging you now?
Yeah, I'm getting upset. We're going to need to reach a deal here, the Writers Guild of America and whoever they're negotiating with. I don't even know, just Hollywood in general, the big companies. We're going to need to reach some kind of deal because I can't have Stranger Things Season 5 come out when I'm 62. I just don't think I'm going to enjoy it as much.
It'll never be available.
It sure feels like that. That's what we were feeling about Season 4, too, and we did eventually get it.
But it was a long time.
Yeah, and everybody looked old.
So, well, they're still, and I think that was when they were filming.
Yeah,
so I think that was just a casting
That was years ago now.
So they say some other movies that have paused. The new Blade movie from Marvel, that's halted production. Paramount Plus is evil. But some
it doesn't feel as egregious when it's a movie, though. You know what I mean?
Sure, I understand.
Because there's always such a lead up where shows you just expect them to come out really pretty much every year, and then when they don't, then it's really unusual. And then I see the shows that have not paused production include Amazon's Lord of the basically the really big shows.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Outside of Stranger Things.
The Rings of Power, the new House of Dragons season, those, they're still going. And they're not saying anything. They just want you to not notice until they have to stop production.
And then when those shows come out and suck, they'll have an excuse.
Yeah, even though, again, you assume most of it is pretty much written by the time if they've already started production. The Stranger Things stuff seems like they haven't even started yet.
Yeah.
And we all thought they were.
Yeah, you would think they would have been filming, but because I kind of thought that it might come out this summer.
I know.
How silly of me. Maybe 3 summers from now.
So one day you'll get that, but a lot of stuff is having to pause now.
Just once, I wish I had enough money to go on strike.
Aw.
You know, I don't want to go on strike because I'm being mistreated. I want to have enough money that I can comfortably live for a while not getting paid, but also want to be paid more.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to fight for you for that one, so we'll see.
I think that'd be a great scenario.
Hey, they're already eating anyways. Might as well do it on the show. The Riot with Nikki and Hudson. Radio U.
Did you guys, either of you, Nikki, Isaiah, watch the coronation this weekend?
I watched some on TikTok.
Just highlights?
Yeah.
That's all you needed, right? I feel like it was, I don't know how long it is, but with a big event like that, it feels like it'd be long.
The main highlights I took was the lady who held the sword for like 2 hours. That was impressive.
Lady?
There was a sword lady. She holds.
I didn't see that headline.
It was amazing, and I won a floral headpiece as well.
You want one?
I want one of the floral headpieces that they were wearing. It was all very pretty. So.
I did see that there was a lot of fancy dress.
Yes.
I mean, obviously it's the coronation, but just the hats, especially, were outrageous, and the headgear looking good.
Between that and the Derby, it was a hat weekend.
It was a hat weekend.
Huge weekend for hats. Now, here's some of the highlights I caught. One, this wasn't actually at the coronation, but did you see the lady that decided to honor the coronation and King Charles by collaborating 150 gnomes all together in her yard?
Yard gnomes?
Yeah, yard gnomes.
Well, that is weird.
She displayed them in her own front garden for all to see, and she said that was in celebration of the coronation. That was her way of celebrating.
It's cute. She started collecting gnomes at the start of COVID, and that was it. She put them all out.
It's like 50 gnomes. That's a gnome a week this lady has picked up.
She needs to stop getting
and
them.
And how much has she spent?
It's a good question.
On these gnomes. So that was a highlight that actually, if you watch the coronation, I don't think this lady was a part of it, but I still thought that was worth noting because that's
cute.
A wild thing to do. Some of the highlights from the actual event itself, a lot of people, Katy Perry was there and she was confused. Did you see that?
She didn't know where her seat was?
Yeah, she didn't know where to go.
That was
and
good.
Then her and Lionel Richie performed, right?
Yeah.
And here, I'm confused by that.
Why? What do you mean? Oh,
why?
Well, I mean, they had a concert or something.
At the coronation?
No,
like she was there.
It wasn't at the coronation. She was invited because she was singing, and the after party thing was like the next day. And that was just like, I think it was a free concert for anybody to come in. So it was just a celebration concert.
Who's in charge of booking that?
Well,
was King Charles there at that thing?
Yes, they were.
You think King Charles is super into Katy Perry?
Well, I think she was just one of the many people that was there. Everybody, who was the other guy who was performing?
Lionel Richie.
Everybody was like, why does he sound like he was singing with an accent? That was the other. If you listen to when he was singing, they're like, what does he sound like?
I'm just confused about the time. Confused. Why was she invited?
Because she was singing at the coronation.
And why was she singing at the coronation?
Because she's a good singer.
Because she's they say probably the younger royal people enjoy her. So they were just trying to make a younger person.
They can't pick somebody British?
Listen, we weren't involved. Okay, Isaiah, I don't know what
That's what I'm confused.
Who's your favorite British artist? Who's your favorite British artist?
I don't know. Why don't you get Ed Sheeran to do it?
I think
Adele.
They had
They
Tom
probably
Jones.
they've overdone it. They've heard Adele a million times at the coronation. They don't need to hear her again.
I think they had a harder time booking people. So
Nobody wants to go to the coronation, dude.
Not even
Nobody
perform.
even watched it.
So that's how far Katy Perry's fallen. Also, people, there was that guy that had the glasses and the crazy mustache and like a mullet.
Yes.
Did you see him?
I saw him trending.
Some are saying that is Meghan Markle in disguise. What do you think about that?
Could be. Did you
think
see?
she snuck in?
I actually really genuinely laughed because do you remember back with some other thing that they had where Prince Harry came and it was Meghan Markle. One of them was in front of...
I get them confused all the time, too.
It's too much. We don't follow them. We don't like it. But there was a candle that was put in front of them. So anytime the TV shot went to them, you saw a candle.
Okay.
Well, I laughed. The bigger other thing trending was during the actual coronation, Prince Harry was standing there, and it was the other royal person who was standing in front, and she wore like a plume in her hat, and that was covering his face the whole time. It was so funny. I really laughed at that.
Like, if you have this seed, you have to wear this hat.
Yeah.
They thought, if she did that on purpose, that was great.
Yeah. The last one with the outfits was, I don't know if you saw the shot that had like looking down the aisle, and you could see out to the like where the doors open outside.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's a Grim Reaper standing there.
The guy walking past.
Yeah, that looked super creepy. But then I also thought if it actually is the Grim Reaper, he's way underdressed. Like, compared to everybody else, he's wearing at least the 4th craziest outfit.
Where's his hat at?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I saw some of the other stuff trending, but that was the main notes.
That felt like enough coronation for me.
Yeah, that's good.
So Isaiah, anything you'd like to add?
Nope.
No? Okay.
I'm glad the coronation happened.
And it's over.
You can't say that.
The Riot with Hudson and Nikki on Radio U.
All right. There was several big events over the weekend. The biggest of all was Nikki's garage sale.
I had a garage sale on Saturday.
And we're going to need an update. Mm-hmm. How much money did you make?
What do you think? I want you guys to guess how much you think I made. And I will tell you a couple of factors, way more people than I ever thought.
Okay.
I started maybe 45 minutes early because there were people already there and they were waiting for me to start because everybody tries to get there for the first things.
Yep.
And what else? A lot of people wanted to pay by Zelle, Venmo, or Cash App. So there wasn't as lot of haggling like there usually would be on a garage sale.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, so knowing all that, what do you think?
You want to go first?
I'm going to go with $600.
$600, okay.
That's my guess.
That feels
All right.
ambitious. I think
She sounds pretty hype about it.
Yeah.
So.
And how much money would Nikki need to make to be excited?
Like, I'm thinking she might have had a couple big items that maybe she sold off, like a table.
I brought more items out because so much sold so fast.
Well, I didn't get that information. I'm going to go $640 now.
$640, okay.
Yes.
I'll just say 500.
500?
Actually, I want to be lower. 300.
300.
Yeah.
So I had a coin jar that I was, adding to.
Yeah.
So this isn't all from just the garage sale, but coin-wise, afterwards, I took those all to the little Coinstar machine.
Yeah.
And I had $39 in Amazon gift card.
Nice.
But as far as cash went, I made $925.
I told you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
$925?
What were you selling?
That's like 3 paychecks for me.
She was going into it, she's like, I'm not really selling anything too exciting.
I knew that
there's something for
there's some big
$900.
ticket items she sold.
I told you should bring some stuff by.
I should have just came. I saw that there was good stuff.
Yeah, I want to have a yard
You sell any
sale now.
golf clubs or anything?
No, nothing like that.
Like a lawnmower or
table? Was there a table or a chair?
What was the top item that brought in the most money then?
I did sell some furniture.
Okay.
But none of that, most of it was maybe $150 each. So there was a few of those.
Wow.
So there you go.
Wait, $150 for one item at a yard sale.
Yeah, well, for furniture. So
Yeah, still.
It was like storage. It was IKEA stuff, too. I was like, why are you paying that much?
Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
so wild. Like, if you're going to buy furniture, why would you do it at a yard? Okay, no. If you're going to spend $150 on furniture, why would you do it at a yard sale?
Well, it's already
is my
put
thought
together.
process.
You know, someone did the hard
Which
work.
makes it harder to transport.
I would think that most yard sales probably don't have furniture that's worth $150 if I had to guess.
Yeah. Should have
But if you walk into Nikki's yard sale, there probably was furniture there that was worth $150. They were like, wow, look at this. This is actually nice.
And I'm a pretty good seller of things. So it went really well. Everybody was so nice.
You're like, I never even sat on this one time.
It was brand new. So again, because everybody wanted to pay, from Zelle and just from Cash App, they didn't haggle as much as normal. Because I haven't had a garage sale for a few years, but I didn't feel like it was, they were like, I'm just going to pay the price. And I appreciated that.
So you didn't get any odd customers?
No, everybody was really nice.
Wow.
It was good. Okay.
No weirdos or nothing?
Yeah.
No weirdos. No.
Darn it.
I'm disappointed, actually.
I know. All I did was just make money and got rid
Yeah,
of
she
stuff.
just made a killing this weekend. Jeez.
Now, if
That's
anybody would like me to run your garage sale for you, I'd be happy for a small commission.
I don't even know if I have $932 worth of stuff in my house.
No, I definitely don't.
You'd be surprised how much your things that you don't use anymore are actually worth.
Hudson and Isaiah seem like they know a lot about sports, yet somehow it's Nikki that always gets it right. The Riot, Radio U.
This is crazy. I've got a set of people that were kicked off of a flight, a Frontier Airlines flight from Trenton, New Jersey to Atlanta. And that's not a big deal, right? People get kicked off of flights all the time.
Well, I've never had it, but I mean, if we see these videos enough, it must happen eventually one day to your flight.
If we talked about every time a person got kicked off a flight, that's all we'd ever talk about on the show. But this one is unique. It
happens more often than you think.
Yeah. And in this case, what makes it unique is after two women, and you can find these videos there on TikTok, two women get into an argument with one another. They're shouting and whatever. And there's a man sitting next to one of them. The two women get escorted. One woman and the man get escorted. Why can't I say that? Escorted off the flight.
Sure.
Then it goes on to where a vote is taken of the passengers. Would you like the other lady kicked off of the flight as well?
Of the two ladies who were fighting.
Yeah.
One was still left.
There was another woman left on the flight. And here's what's crazy, too. So they take a vote of the passengers. And when I say they, I mean another passenger is like, raise your hand if you think this lady should be kicked off of the flight.
Yeah.
No surprise. The ayes have it, and the lady is also kicked off of the flight.
Well, good. That's initiative. You know how sometimes we get mad things aren't fast enough, when like court cases or all these hearings. Like, he took initiative.
I like it.
It delayed the flight by an hour.
I don't like it. Actually, I think the two ladies delayed the flight.
Yeah.
This probably was not much added to it.
This lady may or may not be justified in being kicked off of the flight. I just don't think this is an appropriate way of doing business. A plane is not a democracy.
Yeah, but they do say if you feel unsafe based on something that happened, you are allowed to voice your concern. And you could say, hey, I feel unsafe that this person is still on the plane if they were a part of the conflict in the beginning.
They say that they kicked her off because she was being rude.
Sure.
Get her off.
You can't kick people off for being rude.
Yeah, you can.
I'd never be able to fly anywhere.
They were rude together. They were the fighting ones. So
yeah, but now the other troublemakers kicked off.
Listen, this is how we judge now. This is plane judge.
I don't think you guys are thinking through this. In this case, it might have been okay. Maybe the lady did need to be kicked off.
I mean, clearly the whole plane voted her off. So unless they all were in the wrong.
What I'm saying is, I think like what she does after they kick her off, that doesn't affect them at all. If I went on to any plane and said to picked any random passenger and said, hey, would you guys like this person kicked off? The whole plane raised their hands. They don't care.
No, you're not allowed to do that, though, unless there's a conflict. Otherwise, you'd be the one passenger.
You would get kicked off.
Then the plane would kick off.
This is just not a right way of doing things.
What do you mean? I feel like this is a great way to do things.
It's a horrible way of doing things.
If the majority of the people on the plane, if you get on a plane, you're sharing a shared space with a bunch of people. You have to be respectful of others. It's a very, very conflicting place, as we've seen recently. And if you don't act accordingly, you got to go.
You go.
But there could be a person like this on every flight. We already kick people off of flights all the time, and usually for good reason. But if there's, if somebody brings on a stinky plate of food or something, then I'd be like, should we kick them off? And everybody would vote yes. But that doesn't, just because people don't quite fit into what you want them to do, doesn't mean they need to be kicked off.
How about we say that voting doesn't open until someone else kicked off of the plane? So the initial kickoff.
So then we just start kicking everybody off.
No, the initial kickoff is like the cabin crew and the pilot's call, and then if there's some other conflict still with someone else involved with that, then everybody gets to vote.
Once there's already a hunger for kicking people out.
I think if you get kicked off a plane, you suck anyway. So I don't feel bad for you.
Well, they were fighting over a seat, so that's what started it.
Get them off.
Yeah.
Get them off the plane.
Find more Riot content online. riot.radiou.com.
A new segment I'm working on.
What do you got?
Will we ever do it again? It depends on how many people text in. I'm calling it Best or Worst. And it's where I give you a topic and then you tell me either the best or worst experience you've ever had with it, or both.
Sure. That's fine.
You could do both, but then we'd have to call it Best and or Worst, and that doesn't sound as good. So here's the topic for you to text into the Riot hotline.
877-2-RADIO-U.
Do your best or worst night of sleep you've ever had.
Night of sleep?
Yeah.
Oh.
I know I can think of the worst night of sleep I've ever had, and I can think of a few that might qualify for best night of sleep I've ever had.
Yeah.
You want me to lead off, and then everybody can text in? You guys can think about it for a second. So you want me to be best or worst first?
You want to do best? Yeah, let's have
whatever
positive.
you want.
All right, there's three options for best. I've stayed in two pretty nice hotels, one multiple times. The Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut. We've had family that set us up there, because I used to go a lot. And so then they'd have rewards, and then they'd book the rooms for us for free.
You got the bonus rewards.
But the beds in there are real nice, and it helps that a lot of times we'd wake up and then go down to the breakfast buffet.
Sure.
So real good time. But the beds are nice. And then the other one is a National Harbor in D.C. Also, I got to stay in a real nice hotel there. And one of the things, here's what helps make those real nice. Besides the mattress is good, when you sleep up in a tower, like because the Mohegan Sun is sky. They're real tall. When you're sleeping up that tall, it's so quiet.
Ooh.
There's no road noise or anything like that, so that actually really helps. And it's a hotel, so you can turn the air conditioning down to 33 degrees,
Cover
which is
the
how I
noise.
like it. And the other best night of sleep I had was when a doctor prescribed me muscle relaxants.
Mine involved Vicodin.
That was just in my twin bed at home when I was growing up. But man, did I sleep well that one night before I stopped taking them because I couldn't wake up the next day.
Isaiah, have you ever been prescribed after like a small surgery or something?
Nope, I never have.
You're missing out. I had one after a small thing, and I remember I fell asleep on Friday, and I don't think I woke up till almost like maybe Sunday into that day, to the point where everybody was worried, but I was great.
Jeez.
I was afraid to take it afterwards because they're like, you'll be asleep a little bit.
After I took my muscle relaxants, I had to get up and work the next day, and it wasn't even early.
Yeah.
But after a full at least 8 hours of sleep and then waking up at like a normal time and trying to drive to work, I did not feel, I got to work, but that's just because I started driving. It's like, I can't stop. But it was not safe for me to drive. Absolutely not.
If you ever wonder why people get like addicted to prescriptions, you haven't been on one then yet. Because you're like, wow, that's the best thing you've ever had.
Yeah.
So that was going to be mine.
Oh, yeah, I stole it from you.
That was a medical one.
Nikki's was drugs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, they were prescribed, but you're like, wow, is this what sleeping's really like?
Yeah.
It was impressive.
That's actual sleep right there.
Yeah. So basically what we're saying, it's that or a really nice hotel.
That's the best nights of sleep. So you know what? We've already taken enough time. Let's come back on this. You guys can think a little more. I've still got my worst, a couple options for worst we can get to. 8772 Radio U,
So
best or worst.
Best or worst?
Best or worst night of sleep you've ever had.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Nikki, you have a worst night of sleep?
Yeah, the first time I ever went camping. Like
The first
camping
time?
outside in a tent.
How old were you?
I think I was 20. I mean, I'm not counting like if you went to the traditional 6th grade like summer camping.
Yeah.
No,
You get a bunk bed and stuff.
Yeah, this was awful because there was a storm warning that night.
Oh, wow.
And everybody else's tents were like blowing away and stuff. And everybody's texting me like, are we supposed to be out here? Mm-hmm. And I just remember I just hated it because I didn't know about toilets with the holes in it at parks.
Yeah.
And
Latrines?
And I didn't know we would actually sleep on the floor on the sleeping bag. And so it wasn't really shown to me when, presented as a thing. So I just remember that was the worst night.
That sounds pretty horrible. But yeah, your best night was drugs then, though.
After a surgery,
Yeah.
both you and I know the joys of the relaxers.
At least you probably actually deserved your drugs. My doctor gave me drugs, but I didn't need them.
Oh, you didn't?
I don't think I mean, they
Did
didn't
you hurt your
help.
back?
It was, I had a shoulder pain.
That's what everybody says to lie to get those.
What?
And the lady I've told this story before.
had a
The
bruised
lady
shoulder.
I had a shoulder in like it was a sore shoulder, and she's like, "Let me check you for a hernia."
What?
You're like, that's
And then
not
she
what I
prescribed me muscle relaxants. So I don't know that she was the best doctor.
Okay.
All right, Isaiah, best and worst night of sleep.
I don't know if I have a best one, but I have two worst. One of them was when I had a camping trip. I ended up one night getting the floor, which was terrible. I had no pillows, no blankets. I just slept on the floor of the camper, which was not carpet. It was like a little, I don't even know how to describe the floor in there. It was hard, and it was a long day before that. So anytime you're camping, it's never comfortable. The other time, oddly enough, I was staying in a friend's house. This was like a year ago, and there was a ton of people at the house, and somehow I got the bathroom.
What?
sleep in?
That was my spot somehow, and I don't know how I ended up getting the bathroom. And it wasn't that I just got the bathroom. It was that I got the bathroom with no pillow, no blanket.
Aww.
And for some reason, I don't know why, I woke up in the morning and I had been using my phone as a pillow and ended up cracking my phone screen.
No!
Because I slept on the floor of the bathroom.
Now, did you sleep on the floor or you're just supposed to sleep in the bathtub?
Yeah.
I mean, either way. It could have been. I slept on the floor, but I was given the bathroom as my place of sleep.
That means they overbooked your room.
Yes, clearly it means that I got
you got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, I got the short end of the stick.
How did... I don't think a bathtub would ever be comfortable because you can't actually fully lay your body down in a tub.
Yeah, but
usually.
It's better. At least you're positioned a little bit better. I feel
You're
like
your head's a little higher.
Than the dirty floor. So
yeah, I was on a tile bathroom floor.
Oh, you know what
using
you needed?
my phone.
You needed a muscle relaxer.
You're right.
That's right.
That would have felt fantastic.
Yuck.
Yeah. We got a bunch of texts coming in here. Jessica says, worst night was working on an IT install that lasted 30 hours and I could only sleep 15 minutes at a time.
Ooh.
Oh, that is awful. Chuck was saying how when he went camping, he slept in the back of a pickup truck that had a roof thing on it. But the friend opened the windows and in the morning woke up with thousands of mosquito bites.
Oh, no.
Gosh.
Not a good friend.
Why do we go camping when almost everybody's worst night of sleep is camping?
You always think it's going to be fun, but then it's not.
But
it's a part of the experience, though.
Yeah.
It is.
And your friends get you. You get tricked into it.
Yeah, man, we could go on and on, couldn't we? I am seeing that we're more negative as a show and people that are listening.
Well, you never remember your best nights. There's so many good nights.
Because you slept through it.
You remember the bad nights.
Good point.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Let's do NBA playoff roundup. I know I could tell you, Nikki, about how Nikola Jokic scored 53 points last night.
He did.
For the Nuggets.
That feels good.
It feels good. They
Yeah.
still lost.
Oh.
But I feel like you're
what
going to...
can you do if that's not even good enough for your team to win?
But I feel like you won't care as much about that as you will care about the other thing Nikola Jokic did last night. He shoved the owner of the Phoenix Suns and ripped the ball away from him.
Does he play for that team or was he playing against that team?
He was against.
Well, then maybe he didn't know that was the owner.
Would that be better if it was a fan?
I don't
Just a
know.
random guy?
I think it is.
I watched the video of it. I couldn't tell because I expected something really dramatic.
Yeah.
And it seems like he just assumed some fan was trying to grab the ball. And so he grabbed and shoved the ball back.
Yeah.
And then
which you still shouldn't do.
You shouldn't do, especially with a fan. But it just happened to be the team owner.
Mm-hmm.
So what was he doing there? Like, he should be up in a booth.
Yeah, exactly.
Owners love, there's nothing better in sports, as far as I understand, I'd love to find out someday, than sitting courtside for an NBA game.
Yelling like you're a coach.
Yeah, and so, I mean, you see some of the owners, and this guy, Matt Ishbia, is one of them, the owner of the Suns. They want to be down courtside. It's really cool. And when you're the owner, you can do that
But
whenever
you need to wear
want.
a shirt that says, I'm the owner.
Yeah, he's not as recognizable as some of the others, perhaps. But wait, so do you think it's better or worse that it was the owner and not a fan? Because the Nuggets coach was like, it's just the same as if it was a fan and he doesn't care. I think, to me, if it was a fan, it would actually be worse.
I think so too.
Sure.
If it's just some random guy.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though this is just a random guy that happens to have a whole ton of money.
Yeah, why was the guy trying to get the ball?
Exactly. But
Yeah.
the owner, he knows he should know better.
Yeah, he should, right? But does anybody else too think that the owner flopped there?
Owners are just, yeah.
He fell very dramatically, and if you watch the video from certain angles, you can't even tell that Nikola Jokic touched the guy.
Sure.
So it was pretty dramatic. He was given a technical foul. I think it seems like it's being overblown. But you want some good news from over the weekend? Some nice. You want some, Nikki? You often notice all of the negative stories out of the NBA.
Well, you guys always tell me when someone's hitting someone else.
Yeah,
so
because again, if we told you somebody scored 50 points, real exciting, who cares? But if we tell you somebody's getting in a fight, that's exciting. But I've got some good news that you should care about, and that is James Harden, the beard, for the Philadelphia 76ers. You see what he did over the weekend?
I saw he honored, I didn't know the whole story until that came out.
Mm-hmm. It is a 20-year-old student from Michigan State. His name is John Howe. He was paralyzed. If you recall the shooting that took place at Michigan State in February, 3 other people were killed, and he was paralyzed from the chest down. But James Harden is his favorite player, and so James Harden donated to his GoFundMe before and stuff like that, and James Harden actually paid for him to come to the game and gave him a signed pair of shoes and everything. Real cool gesture. And then the 76ers did wind up winning.
And he hit the game winner in overtime.
Good. It was
super
so sweet
nice.
because I guess they had FaceTimed after the shooting, and he had found out that he was a fan. And he said, "Okay, if something happens, bringing you out." And then I saw the clip at the end of the game the other night when he's like, "Where is he? Where is he?" He was trying to find him. It was just really nice. That's a nice story.
That is a nice story. And I didn't I didn't think James Harden was a jerk, but I also didn't know he's such a nice guy.
That was very good of
Great
him to
PR
do.
for him.
Yeah, that's right. Now we've got a team to cheer for finally.
I'll take it. I'll go with that.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow at RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
It's time for our Monday tradition, the box office breakdown, where we look back at what was in theaters and how much made money, how much money it did or didn't make over the weekend. The number one movie was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's not a shocker.
Not surprised. Eric went and saw it Friday night and didn't take me.
He didn't take you?
Didn't take me.
Well, what was his review? Should we have him on the show?
I know. Maybe you do better. He sees more movies than I do.
So did he like it, though? Or?
It seemed like he did. It was a real late showing, though, so I think I was asleep when he came back. But it seemed like he liked it.
And then you went 2 entire days without talking about it.
I forgot to. I had the garage sale on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, I was busy.
So Guardians of the Galaxy, the reviews were real good. You remember what our predictions were for how much it would make?
I think I said like 200 or 210 million.
Yeah.
And then you, Isaiah, did you
I forget what I said.
He said 195, didn't he?
195?
Yeah, I remember. 195.
I can't remember.
Because then I was like, fine, I'll go 194 to be lower. And then I was like, if it's closest without going over, I'll just go 1. And I was the closest.
Okay.
Without going over.
What did they get?
It was $114 million.
For the North American box office?
$282 million worldwide.
So it did not beat Mario then when its opening stuff happened.
No, it did not. And actually, if you count, Ant-Man came out on President's Day weekend. So if you count that Monday, it made less than Ant-Man did in its opening weekend, which is really crazy because Ant-Man did not have good reviews whatsoever. So I don't know if you chalk this up to that. This you would think is a better time to go to movies, but I'm sure over the course of time,
it'll make way more
Ant-Man
money.
had a big drop off, right? And
had a whole extra day too.
Yeah. So we'll see how Guardians continues on. I mean, 114 million, that's still pretty solid.
Did you get a Chris Pratt back-to-back? Was Mario
you
right
did.
after?
Mario was a distant second, another 18 million.
That's still good.
For Mario. And then the rest of the top 5 is Evil Dead Rise, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And still at number 5, John Wick Chapter 4.
Hanging on.
For 7 weeks it's been out, and it's still in the top 5. What did you guys watch over the weekend? Anything?
Did you see anything good?
I didn't even turn on my TV.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Busy guy.
Yeah, too busy.
I mean, if you count the coronation and the Kentucky Derby, are you guys counting that stuff? But
yeah, no.
I don't want to tell you because it's going to make me sound stupid. Because I don't watch anything fun or exciting.
You watched a documentary.
I didn't watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and then I watched this. I watched the Great American Baking Show. It's the Roku version of it. I did not like it, though.
Oh, not good?
Who was the Ellie Kemper and then some other guy are the hosts?
Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah, that. It does not. As judging,
doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I like Ellie Kemper.
It just
not as a baking show host.
Clearly not.
It wasn't funny. It was bad. But I watched some of that.
You know what I watched is Jury Duty.
Oh, you did?
Was it good?
Oh, I watched the first episode of it.
You stopped at 1?
Yeah, that's all I could do. I like it though.
I've watched probably like 5, 6 at this point.
It's good.
It is good. It's a mix of The Office and Impractical Jokers, I would say.
Sure.
And it's not the funniest show I've ever seen, but it is definitely entertaining.
It's on Freevee, Amazon's thing, and it's got James Marsden guy. Marsden. It's actually pretty funny.
He is really good as man. I don't feel like I have to explain the whole show, but he's really good in his role especially as the show continues on. Yeah, so
I'll keep watching it then. I liked the first episode.
Yeah, you should go back to it.
Never went back.
I'm just so curious what Isaiah was doing that he couldn't even turn on his TV.
I was busy. I literally didn't even turn it on once.
That's
I was
all right.
too busy.
That's good though. That's healthier.
That's why I'm so tan. That's why I'm so tan. Look at me. I was outside all weekend.
He went golfing yesterday.
I actually didn't notice a difference in his tan level.
Because you want to know why? Because I'm always tan. That's why.
He does more outside stuff.
Hudson, Nikki, The Riot on Radio U.
You know, TikTok isn't for everybody. Some people just can't get into it, you know? I can think of a few people here at Radio U, not on the air, but a few people that are too good for TikTok. They're just like, I just don't get it. It's not my thing.
Call him out. Call him out.
But I feel
Chris
like
the engineer.
it's similar to like you and Instagram, and it almost becomes like, no, you'll just never do it. Even though if there wasn't as much of a push for you to try to do it, maybe you would eventually.
Consider the boomerang effect is what it's called.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have an answer. I have an option for folks who just feel like TikTok isn't for them, but still don't want to be completely left out. A new app called Clapper.
What is it?
Stupid name.
Clapper.
I can't.
Is it where like you clap and the lights come on, or is it a different one?
Yeah, that's what I think of too.
They really want the feedback, so if they like the video that plays, then
You clap.
actually clap on it.
And then the microphone that's hooked up to
Wait.
the government in your
Picks it up,
phone,
yeah.
they get that.
Are you reading ahead? Is that true?
It is not. I'm just teasing you.
No, but Clapper is being called, this is by the actual founder of the company, it's TikTok for adults.
No.
Yeah. Listen to this. Listen to how adult this is. The average user on Clapper is between 35 and 55 years old. It's basically the exact same as TikTok, but check this out. When you like log in and sign up, you are presented with a series of communities that you can join to see videos from, like real estate or barbecue.
Oh, no.
That's so stupid. What?
It's
Now,
TikTok
wait.
for your dad.
Wait, hang on. I just want to make sure before we go judgy that I don't like any of it.
This is disrespectful to adults.
They say be heard, be seen, be valued. Oh, it also, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but whenever something's like join the community of it, then you don't want to be near it.
Yeah.
It's for the older demographic.
It's free to use, no ads, no BS, just real lives, they say in the description of the app.
Why? I don't understand. My dad loves TikTok. We send videos back and forth, and my dad, like, if it was like real estate stuff, whatever, we send stupid videos that are just hilarious that he thinks are just as funny as I do.
Yeah.
And my dad's an old man.
Does he actually have an account, though?
Yeah, he has, and the same thing on Instagram too. My dad has an Instagram now, and we'll send reels back and forth. It's hilarious.
But does he ever post himself, or he just likes to watch?
He just loves to watch.
But that's fine, right? And
Isaiah's dad, do you want to download Clapper?
No, don't get on Clapper. We have the good stuff here already.
If he was on Clapper and Isaiah was on TikTok, then how would they exchange videos?
Exactly.
It basically is just short videos. So, I mean, you don't want to miss out. Part of you is like, well, what if this becomes a big thing? This is not going to become a big thing.
No, it feels like they wanted to be TikTok and then they kind of found their niche, but I think that's all it is. Also, this is all odd though, because it seems like it does sound like an app more for like your parents or whatever, like just older folks. But in addition to the real estate and the barbecue and things of that nature, dad stuff, it also features other adult content, if you know what I mean.
This does not have that.
It says.
No, there is no other adult content.
Oh, that's what I just said.
You read it wrong. It says there's no adult content.
Okay.
So there's none of that.
That's the trouble with calling things adult.
You just don't
we
know
need
what
a different
they mean.
word for it.
No, they say there's no adult content. Creators are not paid for views, so it's different than TikTok
So
on
why
that.
would anyone create on there?
So there's only adult content, but no adult content.
Yes.
I've got it.
Correct.
Okay.
See the confusion?
I'm with it. There was confusion
It
there.
wasn't my fault.
No,
It's
that makes
clearly
sense.
not my issue.
And
I take no responsibility for that.
Clapper's available for 40 countries, and it has a user base of 300,000 elderly people. And that's what it is.
Dang. I did want to watch some barbecue videos, though.
You should download it.
One of us has to,
No,
right?
if you don't mind, this is for like if you're grandparents, you have to go download it for them.
Set them up so they can watch all the smoked pork they can find.
That's great.
The words too expensive aren't in Nikki's vocabulary. This is The Riot. Radio U.
Here's a fair or foul for you. I've got a lady, a young gal here who, she posted a video where she found a match on Hinge. Big deal, right? Happens all the time. But what's unique about this match is it was her ex-landlord.
Oh, where she had lived?
Yeah, she used to live there, moved out. The move out didn't end well, but evidently, as far as she knows, he didn't recognize her because they didn't meet very often.
Yeah.
But she recognized him. And so she goes ahead and matches him on Hinge and goes on from there. He asks her out on a date. Okay.
Aww.
And you think, but things ended badly at this apartment, right? So you're thinking this isn't like, why is she doing this? She said, yeah, I'll go out on a date with you if you give me my security deposit back.
Listen, she has not forgotten. She has been scorned.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this guy he's stolen so many security deposits, he doesn't even remember her.
Oh, she did this wrong. What you should have done is you just date him and get enough money-wise
that's what I was thinking.
There you go.
out of the dates until it equals your security deposit.
That would have been much smarter.
Yeah, you just play him like that.
Especially when I saw the headline of the story, I was like, oh, that has to be what she did, right? She might have not gotten the whole deposit back, but she went on a date with him just to get a free meal out of the guy or something.
Fancy dinners.
But she led with the security deposit thing, and so he unmatched her before they ever actually got to go on a date.
No, she showed her
screwed
cards too soon.
Fail.
Yeah.
Big fail.
Apparently, though, he had not recognized her at first, so maybe would he have even recognized her if she didn't mention something?
Yeah, and then what if she went through the whole hassle of going on the date, and then he gets there and sees her, and then he recognizes her, maybe?
No, you wear a hat or something. You just do that. He probably wouldn't notice.
I just can't believe how she fumbled the bag on this one. She could have so easily gotten some food out of the deal.
She said that she paid over $400 for a move-out clean-out fee, and she was supposed to get her security deposit back. She left that place spick and span, she says, and it wasn't enough for him, and so he kept the security deposit.
That's wild. She paid $400 for a cleaning people to come in and clean.
It wasn't
and she
enough.
still didn't get it. That's crazy.
Yeah, but, I mean, have you guys been through a move out where the landlord gave you guff about not getting your deposit back?
I thought I was supposed to get more back, but then I remembered I put a couple things on the walls that I think when it was a little bit more than just a couple of nails.
Gotcha.
So I was like, fine, it's not worth it.
Yeah. What about you, Isaiah?
I've only moved in two apartments, and I've gotten both security deposits back. One of them, Jim, destroyed. I was shocked. I mean, my dog, Jim, she chewed up, a bunch of stuff in the apartment. I was not expecting to get it back, but I did, so I was happy about that.
It is weird. Sometimes it works out that way. You're like, well, what were you looking for when I didn't get all the money back?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, Jim, a bunch of the flooring inside, it was a disaster when I left there, but it was clean, though. It was clean. It was just chewed up a little bit.
Yeah.
As long as you don't put holes in the wall, you're fine.
I had a similar scenario. My Zafira, when we first got her, I've said this before, she would tear up anything she could. She had real bad separation anxiety at first. She tore up the carpet at this apartment, and then we moved out, and they didn't actually ask for this, they didn't have any issues. And I was like, that's weird. Then the person who moved in after me got some of my mail, and I went. And they had just taken out all the carpet and put in wood floors. And I was like, dang, why couldn't you do this while I was here?
They were just waiting for you to leave.
It's because of you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't charge you.
I can have Zafira the dog tear up more carpet if you want.
Well,
she works for free.
Apparently our dogs are available for your apartments, for whatever you're renting. If you'd like to push the envelope and see if you'll get your security deposit back.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The worst of the riot. Radio U.
One of the things you probably don't think when you see pictures of Mark Zuckerberg is that dude could beat me up.
Not normally.
But it is possibly true. Did you know that over the weekend he won some kind of medal at a jiu-jitsu tournament?
Oh, he does that?
Yeah, he's a big jiu-jitsu guy.
Sometimes with that form of fighting, you can be, the skinnier, taller type and maybe not as muscular looking, but still do damage.
Yeah.
He looks like someone who would do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You know exactly what it means.
That's an expensive form of martial arts.
Means whatever you want it to mean.
Yeah, he competed.
And wait, was the sponsor Meta, Facebook?
Yeah, that's right. He this doesn't help his cause a lot. It was a jiu-jitsu tournament at Woodside High School in Woodside.
It wasn't a high school tournament.
No, but
it was just there.
I feel like that's even lamer. It wasn't even a high school tournament. It was a tournament at a high school.
Listen, he's proud. He posted a picture of him, and he was excited he won.
Now, before we make fun of him, think about this. Multiple UFC champions, including Israel Adesanya and Alexander Volkanovski, congratulated him in the comments when he posted about it.
Nice.
So they take him seriously, evidently. I can't picture Alexander Volkanovski, a UFC fighter, scrolling through Instagram.
Taking time
like,
out.
Ooh, Mark Zuckerberg. Better congratulate him.
Well, maybe Mark Zuckerberg will turn into like all the YouTubers who do the boxing sort of celebrity things.
Man, would we love to see that, wouldn't we?
You can see him do a boxing and actually fight against a professional.
I would love that.
How great would it be if he fought Logan Paul?
Be something.
I don't know who I'd cheer for, though.
Because everybody hates
I'd cheer for everyone to lose.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, man, I mean, good for him for, staying busy, staying in shape. Good for him. He
started with jiu-jitsu during COVID, and he enjoyed it so much that he works with a gym with that.
Wow. You think you could take him, Isaiah?
I'd punch him square in the nose.
You're not supposed to punch in that. That's not the
I'm not doing jiu-jitsu.
No, but see, everybody thinks that, you could just punch someone and that's how you'd win a fight. Sometimes it's not.
Sometimes you got to sweep the leg.
Exactly.
He's gonna try to judo chop me or Captain Insano eye poke me.
Well, I'm not sure if he could beat you, but we'll say no. I'm sure you'd win.
I'll meet him at the local elementary school, and we can fight there.
You have to start off in a sports somewhere, somehow. So even if you're older, good for him.
Good for him.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
And this is concerning. The U.S. Department of Labor recently released the results of an investigation into McDonald's in Kentucky. They found that throughout the state of Kentucky, at least over 305 children were caught working and being employed by McDonald's. Mm-hmm. That's bad enough, right? Just anybody underage.
Now, technically, when they say children, though, that could technically mean like 18, 17, or under 18 for different labor laws. But they, in this case, they really mean children.
Yeah, and they did say this just adds to the problem is that it could be sometimes they were working until 2 a.m., which is definitely outside of the hours they should be working. In addition to that, they found 2 10-year-olds working at a McDonald's.
Oh my gosh. And they said that they were using the deep fryers, which is especially bad.
Real dangerous.
There's lots of labor laws of like, okay, you could be 15 or 16 and work to a certain point, but you can't work late. You also can't work certain equipment. And these 10-year-olds were working equipment and were 10. And not supposed to work.
Well, the best way to get those deep fryers clean is somebody with real tiny fingers.
Tiny fingers, oh no.
To get down in the crevices.
No, they were serving as well, which I just don't think is possible. So there you go.
Yeah, that's what McDonald's has come to. In Kentucky, anyways. This is only Kentucky. We don't know what all the other states. I guess they do say that over 60 locations across Kentucky. It wasn't just Kentucky. Indiana, Maryland, and Ohio all were owned and possibly included in this where they may have been employing children.
So they were owned by 3 franchise owners. Because sometimes, like, if you've ever been to a place where, like, your parents are there, they'll make you work. And again, you're supposed to only do certain things. So I thought first, well, maybe these are these franchisees' kids.
Well, they
or
had
something.
A lot of kids.
They have a lot.
305.
So the 305 children worked more than the legally permitted hours, performed tasks prohibited for young workers, and that's when they found the 2 10-year-old workers, and they were in Kentucky.
What's questionable to me is I just never know, right? Like if it's 10 years old, you should be able to tell that it's a
But you're not supposed to say anything anymore.
You can't question if like,
you're not supposed to question.
No, you're going to get canceled if you question.
Your voice hasn't changed yet.
You look, Ted. How dare you?
Right. I guess I can see how that'd be an issue, but I don't know. I feel like better safe than sorry, you know?
I think this is another example of if you really want a job, you can get one.
You can find a way.
If I had to guess, McDonald's will take you.
Would it make you mad if the 10-year-olds were getting more money?
Yeah,
than you?
exactly. I'm like, if someone's like, man, I just cannot land a job. I'm like, well, if you go to McDonald's, they're hiring 7-year-olds. So I don't think qualifications are crazy.
Maybe that's why they had the 10-year-olds. The 10-year-olds are the only ones that would work for what McDonald's is offering.
Probably.
They're like, hey, $12 an hour, not so bad.
You could tell I
could buy some comic books with this.
There's a worker shortage because for the other younger age but not 10-year-olds, their problem was they were working longer hours than they were supposed to. So the issue is they were filling in with people who are not allowed to work past a certain point. So
one last question. Do kids really buy comic books? They always show them.
They don't. Why is that your example?
Because
Did you ever buy a comic book?
No, but in TV shows, that's always what they buy. The kids are like,
TV shows.
I got to save up to buy the special issue of Mega Lord or whatever.
Now on kids' TV shows, they're playing video games. They're saving up for video games.
Well, that's so boring.
What do you think people think? You were talking about books. You just said books. Hudson, when was the last time you saw a young child holding a book looking happy? Never.
Well, you don't see it anymore because they're all working.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. They're at McDonald's.
You thought they were there eating. They weren't.
You just heard the worst of the worst. We'd give you the best of the best, but we'd have to find that. As soon as we do, you'll be the first to know.